Hi everyone, I'm Francois. Today I'll be doing a full review of the Phoibos Apollo. So let's get right into it because it's time to watch. Before I get started here, I wanted to let you know that it truly helps if you press the like button. If you like this type of content, these types of reviews, leave a comment and even subscribe. This way, it'll enable me to do these types of reviews more often. So let's get right into it. I want to talk about this Phoibos Apollo because the first time I saw these types of watches from Phoibos, it was on Island Watch website where they showcased the Wave Master. The dial was very intricate and had very specific designs that popped out. And it's not unlike this one here, who has a textured dial, which we don't necessarily see very often. But we'll talk about that dial a little later on. This watch comes from a long line of watches from Phoibos. They have, I think, 9 different models, one of which is this one, the Apollo, and the other one was the Wave Master, to which I alluded earlier. And I was wondering where they came from, and essentially, this is a micro brand that started in 2016. This couple called Ethan and Emily, they founded this watch brand after being inspired by their trip to Greece. And Phoibos is the other name of the god of light and sun, Apollo. Essentially, Apollo is the god of everything, right? So Phoibos specifically means bright, shiny one. So let's shed some light on this watch. And we'll start with the measurements, and I'll discuss also the different components, and I'll finish up with an overall impression of this watch. The measurements for this one here is 42 millimeters, the case here. It's a little under 42 if you talk about the case itself. It's right up to 42 when you consider the bezel here that extrudes out. Then there's the lug-to-lug, that is a 48 millimeters. And then there's the thickness, that is 12.5 millimeters. You'll notice here that it's a flat sapphire glass, so you don't have this protruding glass that will increase the height of the watch. The components are all in titanium. So you have the casing, you have the crown itself, the bracelet, the bezel, as well as the bezel insert. These are all titanium. The bracelet here is an H-link bracelet, and you can see it here, it's signed, but not only it's signed is that not oftentimes companies like that try to have titanium in every component because they try to cut corners and maybe have a stainless steel type of clasp. This milled clasp here is proven to be titanium. They even stamp it on it. It's really a good quality milled clasp. Of course, it's a push button, a double push button here, and a fold over clasp. You have 3 points of micro adjustments here. There's no deployant, kind of dive watch deployant mechanisms in the back here, but you could, really adjust it here with these 3 micro adjustments indicated right here. You see that these are screwed in links, and just basically use a 1.5 millimeter screw driver here, like this one right here, and you just unscrew it, pop it out, and you're good to go. So let's now focus on this great dial. Like I showed you initially, it's a textured dial, and this is the Apollo watch, right? So the Apollo is commemorative of the Apollo missions in space going to the moon. And so I figure, and it's not specified in their documents, but I figure that they tried to recreate some sort of lunar surface, which I find it really nice and a nice touch to it. You can also see here, I already screwed out the crown, where at the first position you can change the date, and the date wheel is exactly the same color as the dial. It's not the same texture. I don't think they would add texture to that date wheel because of the fact that it would increase the thickness. But at least having the same color to the date wheel adds a nice touch to it. I must say that the logo at the 12 o'clock position and the writing in automatic and 20 atmosphere or 200 meter water resistance, all this ties in well. I must say that I really dig the logo. The logo is nice, it's fluid, and it demands attention, right? So if you screw this down, you get your full 200 meter water resistance. I've mentioned in my previous reviews that even though you have a screwed-in crown, doesn't mean you necessarily need a screwed-in crown to have more than 100 meter water resistance. Some have just a push-pull type of crown, and you still have at least 100 or 150 meter water resistance. In this case here, it's 200, and it's peace of mind to have this screwed down. As you can see, it's again this great logo on the crown. So it's a signed screwed down crown. And I showed you the bracelet already, but I wanted to, of course, focus more on the case back. The case back, as it's shown here, you have the name, you have the fact that it's titanium, you have the indication in regards to the water resistance. It's clearly indicated here 200 meters versus 20 atmospheres. For people who work in feet, it's 660 feet. It's an automatic watch, and it uses sapphire crystal, as I mentioned initially. This automatic watch here has a Seiko NH35 inside, and it's a true NH35 because it has a date. There's no ghost date. It's specifically with a date window. Other NH calibers have day and date, but this one truly only has a date window and a date position. So when you unscrew this, like I said, first position, you hear the click, you can wind it, you can hand wind it, you can hack it when you get to the third position, 2 clicks out. So hacking means you stop the second hand, and of course when you pop it back in, everything starts back again, and when you get out the second position, like I said, you change the date. There you go. So it's a nice workhorse movement. It's really accurate because I figure that Phoibos calibrates them before they send it off to their customers, because typically an NH35 from Seiko, you can have a differential accuracy from minus 20 seconds to plus 40 seconds. But in this case here, I get on average anywhere between 10 and 12 seconds of minus 10 or 12 seconds on this watch here. So it's not deadly accurate, but it's much better than the stated accuracy from the movement. So that's why I'm kind of hesitating, but I'm sure that Phoibos has their watches, their movements calibrated before being sent to the customers. And as you know, a movement like this for magnetism, and while it's being transported, may be influenced by that. So maybe they calibrate it so tight that they want to make sure that once it gets to the customer, even if it's not the calibration that they set it to, at least it's better than the stated accuracy from an NH35. Let's get close up now once again, and I want to show you these hands. These skeleton hands are nice. The hour hand is essentially an arrow, and the skeletonized minute hand is a nice design with that tipped lume at the tip there. By the way, the lume is BGW9 blue. It glows blue, and it really goes well with the dial. You'll see that it's really gorgeous once it's charged up. But the only thing is that after wearing it for a couple of weeks, I find that the slim skeleton design of the minute hand is difficult to see with that lume. And once the lume gets a little dimmer, it's a little harder to see because you have that tip there that shows you the minutes, but sometimes it could just go in front of the different indices right here, and it would basically be hidden by these indices. So maybe that's something that we could maybe adjust on their side. But the skeletonized is a great touch. It's a nice touch because you don't want to hide that great dial, that textured dial. Everything is focused to have the focus on this great dial. The dial is a sandwich dial. Sandwich basically is saying that you have different layers to it, and these layers are really, they show really well when you look at it at an angle. So let's get into my overall impression of this watch. Like I said, I've been wearing this for a little over 2 weeks, and I would say that the only gripe I have is this bracelet. The bracelet is, I didn't mention that, but this is a 20 millimeter lug width. The tolerances are really tight on the bracelet fit between the lugs. And it's built, it seems to be built solely to be worn on this bracelet. Because I tried putting on a nice strap that I had bought with nice blue accents, and it just damaged it because the lug holes here are too tight in regards to the casing itself. So when you move the strap, it just damages it. It just scrapes between the on the casing, and you just damage your strap. And like I said, because the tolerances are really tight here, when you just put this back in, it's just a struggle. So I think it's really built to be on this bracelet itself. In addition to that is that as I was wearing it, this tugs on your arm hairs a little. If you really don't like that, well, it may be not a watch for you because, like I said, you may not be able to put in a decent strap unless you put it on a NATO strap. A NATO strap may be able to squeeze in there. I haven't tried that, but I'll let you decide if you decide to go with this watch. I know that let's call it a generic movement, that Seiko NH35 is kind of a workhorse movement, but it's a standard movement. It's not a high beat. It's something that we see often in many watches. And so it may be kind of quote unquote dull, but it works well in this watch. This watch is a titanium watch. That's what I like about it. It's really light. On my scale, it's 124 grams. And this is fit for my 7-inch wrist. There's extra links that I took out, so maybe if you have a smaller wrist, you'll take a little more links out. It'll be a bit lighter. But that's what I really liked about it. I liked the nice clean bezel insert here with that brushed titanium. That dial, that blue dial, was just, for me, the high point of this watch was that texture, that call to that lunar surface, the fact that we have a great clasp It's really built solid. It's milled in full titanium. A nice case back as well with that that astronaut right there, and that screwed down case back is also titanium to provide you with a full 200 meter water resistance. So once you set this, because it's an automatic watch, it's a set and forget. And it's rugged. It can take a beating. There's some sort of coating on this. I'll put in the notes what type of coating there is. I completely forgot what that is, but there's a coating on this to help with the scratches, because we all know that titanium watches are able to be scratched a little better, a little more, I would say, than stainless steel. But as you can see, and like I said, I've been wearing this for a little over 2 weeks, there's not a scratch on this. So my impressions are really good. I think that if you're hesitating to buy this, don't. So I encourage you to subscribe to their newsletter to get maybe some sort of discounts. That's how I got my discount. I subscribed to their newsletter. They sent out a kind of a thank you note, and oh, by the way, here's your discount code. And that brings me to say that this watch is my watch. I went to their website, got the discount, and paid it with my own money. So I'm not sponsored by Phoibos. I just wanted to show this watch, show these characteristics, showcase this great titanium casing, bezel, bracelet. Everything is titanium, that great dial, just because I liked it. And I hope you liked it as well. Like I said previously, press the like button. It really helps. Leave a comment, subscribe, and as well, my next review will be this watch here that I'm wearing now. This is an Islander watch. It's an automatic 200 meter dive watch. It's kind of their new design, and of course we'll look into this in depth. But if you like, subscribe, maybe hit that bell notification, and you'll get notified when I get to evaluate this and review this great watch. So again, truly appreciate you joining me and tuning in, and we'll see you next time.